Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and to the first review I've done in quite some time. I can't believe that my first solo theatrical review since last year's The Grinch is going to be for the Angry Birds movie 2. And my Grinch review wasn't even on camera. I think my last on-camera theatrical review was 2017's Lego Ninjago. I cannot believe it's been that long. Anyway, Angry Birds 2. I can't believe I'm about to say this, especially given how I felt about the first one. But I think I loved Angry Birds 2. People always act like sequels are never as good as their predecessors, but this one was not only better than the first one, it was so much better that I just kind of want this to be the only Angry Birds movie. Can we all just collectively agree to pretend that the first one didn't happen? It is possible that I'm being premature about my reaction. I do have a tendency to overrate things right after I see them. I get out of a lot of films on a post-movie high, and I'll think it was amazing, and then a couple days later I'll realize it was only just fine. And I don't know if that will be the case here, but I'm several days out of seeing Angry Birds 2, and I still feel great about it. Now I will say I don't think that anyone should go into this looking for the next Pixar-level masterpiece, but if you just want a fun cartoon that will crack you up until the credits roll, then check out Angry Birds 2. It wasn't perfect, but I was literally laughing through the whole thing, and sometimes that's all you need. It probably helps that I went into this movie with rather low expectations. Like super low. The first Angry Birds movie was not very good. It wasn't like heinous or anything. It was just kind of bad, like slightly worse than mediocre. One of the biggest things that for me was probably that it was just not rewatchable, and rewatchability is one of my main hallmarks of a good movie. The first Angry Birds was far too beholden to the mechanics of the game it was based on. It was like they had to explain everything that happens in the games, which are basically just puzzle games with almost no plot. Basically, there are birds which are angry because their eggs have been stolen by pigs, and the birds have to fight off the pigs by launching themselves with slingshots into the pigs' buildings to destroy them. That's it. The first one tried way too hard to make that extremely simplistic plot into a full-length feature, and it just did not execute it very well. The first one was also far too dependent on adult humor, like to an absurd amount for a film that, at least by the writing standards, is definitely aimed at kids, not adults, and even when it wasn't making cringy adult jokes, it was just kind of obnoxiously unfunny. It looked great, it had a great cast, but that's about it. Angry Birds 2, however, was everything that the first one wasn't. First of all, the plot was far better. The game mechanics of the Angry Birds franchise are now just a background thing that's part of their world, and they're not what the movie revolves around. This time, the birds and the pigs have to set aside their differences and work together to stop an invasion from a previously unknown island. And yes, this is still a pretty simple plot, but they make it work in their favor by using it as a springboard for all sorts of wacky ridiculousness. This movie is basically a cartoon, and when I say cartoon, I don't mean simply that it's an animated film. I'm talking Looney Tunes style, off-the-wall hilarity, that kind of a cartoon. The biggest improvement to the sequel is that this one was actually written for an audience of all ages. It was not an overly simplistic, kid-focused script littered with out-of-place adult jokes. It was actually creative and very funny. There was still a bit of inappropriate humor, but not nearly as much as the first one, and it was all mostly just bathroom humor this time, because you know those kids just gotta have their potty jokes. However, shockingly, I actually found some of it funny, and trust me, it is extremely hard to get me to do anything but roll my eyes in annoyance at bodily function jokes. The potty humor in this one was definitely still stupid, but some of it was done so cleverly and with enough spot-on comedic timing that I have to give the writers props for actually making me laugh at it. Everything about this film just feels like a feature-length Saturday morning cartoon. It's just gags and jokes and slapsticks and utter nonsense from beginning to end. This movie isn't trying to send a message or tug at your heartstrings or give you the feels. It's just trying to make you laugh. And sometimes that's all I want. Now, one other thing that I should mention about this movie is that it's actually preceded by an animated short, and a 2D one at that. This is not a Disney film, so it's even more rare to get an animated short before a feature. Disney and or Pixar seems to be the only studios putting out shorts these days, So when another studio steps up and actually gives us something like this, I feel like they need to be especially commended. The short here is called Hair Love, and I definitely want to recommend that if you decide to go see Angry Birds 2, that you get there early enough so you can see this short as well. I don't want to spoil it too much, but the short version of the plot is that it's about a father trying to do his daughter's hair for the first time, and there's a lot more to this story than that. But the story kind of unfolds gradually and is written so well that I want you to discover it for yourself. Anyway, at the moment, Angry Birds 2 is kind of bombing at the box office, which is understandable given the previous one. So I want to stress that if you've been avoiding it because of the first film, do yourself a favor and just try to forget that the first one existed. This movie is better in every way, and the amount of laughter that I got out of this movie completely makes up for how little I got from the first one. Yes, it's not Pixar, but it's just hilarious, and if you need a good laugh, definitely check it out. Okay, that's all I've got for today. Like I said, this is the first review like this I've done in a long time, but hopefully this is the first of many. I'd really like to get back into these on-camera, timely theatrical reviews, and I'm trying to streamline my process to make it easier for myself. I made an update video more about this earlier, so if you missed that one, be sure to check it out. I'll have it linked below. Anyway, thank you all for watching. More episodes of my podcast will be coming soon. We'll be covering both versions of Disney's Dumbo over the next 2 episodes, so make sure you check them out soon. We'll see you then.